Hello friends, we don't choose where. Born in what looks to have about people who just like nature have model looks taken to say that they won the lottery, but people with diseases of the external ailments we sympathize want to do this course does not need why because that every person is beautiful in their every well we all need to learn to be more open to everything unusual to this beauty we'll start to see probably right now today. We will get acquainted with several interesting people their appearance is far from standard but they go through life with head held high not afraid of difficulties, and that is why we so admired the attention to the screen Jodie Angie. If you are a big fan of series WTO right now probably jumped on a chair and said something like somewhere I have this baby already seen will save you a few minutes of your time, and immediately say to Jodie was actually shot in the TV series American Horror Story. She participated in the Indian reality show as the hero in a documentary and in general is very public personality to the world. Jo Tenge, known as the short woman on planet, and it's officially the girl, was even listed in the Guinness Book of Records despite the fact that it looks like Jodie baby before you quite an adult. The person at the end of this year turned 27 years. The growth and all is just 62.8 centimeters. I was born in the Indian city on the CPU, and you must be wondering why is it so little. Thing is hereditary, the disease called an achondroplasia. The problem lies in the bones which were not up to the usual size due to a lack of hormones. Does Jodie worry about his height? By no means. The girl looks happy a lot, smiling and happy, photographed with a wish, and think is not afraid of the eternal pandemonium, big men around despite the fact that the joke is already a star. She not going to stop our laurels and wants to devote himself to the case which brings the most. It's fun acting Sultan Kassan. And now altogether surprised because from the smallest women we move on to the big men. Sultan Kassan, farmer, and to have active record books. Guinness growth honestly hardly fits in the head, as it is already 251 centimeters. Everything in the body of this man is large from the foot, the length of which is 36 centimeters, to the palm of your hand. Well, compared to palm tiny Jodie, his hand looks gigantic. Abnormal growth of the Sultan caused by a tumor the brain that unfortunately gave him many problems. Life it all started in the pretty young age when the teenager was forced to leave high school and go to work. Farmer later had to face with the eternal problems when choosing clothes and shoe. Imagine most companies do not release sneakers 62 the size of even the Sultan does not fit in cars, and because of the tumor now forced to move when the aid of crutches, but have the advantage of growth still there. So Sultan farmer it can work even the tall trees, but in general cope with the task agriculture which a person with normal growth missing health. The Sultan caused concern as tumor length bodies continued increase. However, in 2012 doctors managed to cope with the problem, so the Sultan now lives an almost normal life, and even got his wife Isaiah Acosta. Our next hero was born on October 31, 1999. At first, the doctors were plunged into shock, and then made disappointing forecasts. Boy would not live. A little later, when I survived despite all the difficulties have been made, new forecast he can't walk, and it's that man again did things his own way, contrary to expectations, as you can see with walking at ISA, and all okay in the and the doctors were right, only one guy can't to speak as he was born without jaw, but you will be surprised when learn what kind of activity have chosen ISO for himself, and he's a rapper even though by yourself can't make a sound. But let's order Isaiah Acosta, born in the city of Glendale, Arizona. Childhood he was creatively developed, all free time spent in writing poems, lyrics. For a teenager it was the only way forget about the problems and express yourself, so reaching out his voice locked inside body. That all changed a few years ago when I met with the rapper Trap House. Together they found a way to create music. Trap House became the voice that Issa never had. That's how the man in front of you living proof that there is nothing impossible. Sarah Hertz, try to guess how old the woman you see right now on the screen. Surely someone of you can tell she's very cool shape for their 50 to 60 years. But there's one small the catch is actually our heroine much younger. Sarah Hertz literally recently turned 29 years old. The reason many wrinkles and folds her body, rare dysfunction of the body which is called the syndrome Ehlers-Danlos. The problem lies in the fact what a woman's body is wrong way produces collagen, and how it is known that he is responsible for the strength and elasticity of the skin. 4. Many people with old age is a real problem. Women spend a lot of money on tools and procedures for troubleshooting wrinkles. On this background, the complex as Sarah would be surprised. However, the woman there seems to be no generally. Our heroine refuses to hide behind closed doors. On the contrary, it model actively Instagram 94, where she has thousands of followers, and calls not hesitate to own appearance even if she doesn't fit in traditional standards of beauty. Once long ago, according to Sarah's Skin was her the main problem. Now she unsure that there is nothing more beautiful. There is simply no we strongly going with this to argue. Martin Shady here is another example of that. Even with serious physical defects you can live with. The life of Martin Shady was born in the city Dearborn, Michigan near Detroit. The day he was chased H3 illness, the misaligned hips, clubfoot and scoliosis. Boy looked so unusual that he had to spend in the hospital for almost 4 months before the doctors gave him the wrong diagnosis, and in fact, the boys were given up as children with established disease is usually not even live up to 4 years. What parents Mill satisfied with delivered the diagnosis of a happy accident. Video bypassed a huge number of doctors before what we found someone who was finally able correctly identify the disease. That is thanks to him, Martin eventually survived, so it was chosen the correct treatment. And so of the disease which lives our hero is called arthro-flu. It is manifested in the underdeveloped joints and muscles and strains of the extremities of the legs stacked, and as scissors unnatural. Martin state he chose it so in this position it is easier just walk in. 19 years old boy managed to driver's license as a profession. He chose business and management. Custom appearance for Martin it's not a problem. He even learned taking the comments people with a sense of humor. When the little boy on the street called Martin as a puppet toy, he decided to dress up for Halloween as Pinocchio and Michelle Kish. It's hard to believe, but our next heroine is not a child at all, but a young girl, and despite her unusual appearance, she is going through the most common problems for her age. Her sister already has a boyfriend, not even one, and she still does not have a boyfriend, but there is another problem that is not so standard. She is not allowed on rides, because almost everywhere there are restrictions on height. Meanwhile Michelle barely reaches the waist of an ordinary adult. Otherwise there is almost nothing strange. Miss Kish is used to the fact that she needs regular medical care, and does not suffer at all from her disease syndrome. ASDM is a genetic pathology that characterized by the 28th symptoms. Michelle has 26 of them, however. We can say that she was lucky, because all the remaining 2 symptoms associated with damage in the brain as Michelle. Then she is not the average person who got not quite normal. The body referred to as syndrome of the way extremely rare. So that the birth of Michelle in the world there were only 250 owners. The doctors had to identify the disease at the pictures in the book because their eyes they're anything like you've never seen before. Lullet party gift if you have fans of mythical creatures and werewolves in particular. Music. The last hero of today's the video you are absolutely sure to stay enthralled because Lullet party gift. Young resident Indian city glad lamb lives a disease that doctors call the disease is characterized by hypertrichosis and excess of body hair in places where they should not grow. Lolita is primarily the face length hairs here reaches 5 inches, however the rest of the body hair the boy grow more densely than this usually can be solved. What our hero have a hard time in school too much. It differs from peers, but luckily the people on the planet is becoming every year and increasingly good, and because the classmates quickly accustomed to the unusual appearance Lolita, and do not make him a problem, and this is good because the boy is so faced with the difficulties which are incomprehensible to the rest of the people to unfortunately ways to cure hypertrichosis. However, there exists manuals. Treatment can improve the situation, and to make life a little simpler Lolita, but for today we all see you soon.